How does money laundering through casinos work? Many casinos don't require ID or anything to exchange money for chips. They just take your money, so there's no way to track it. The way I hear it in Canada, they do it with sports betting pro line tickets, as you do not give ID when buying tickets. And they do not bet to win, you bet to break even, so the odds are much better. So you spend 5K on tickets with no ID, then you win say 4K, which you cash, and get a receipt from the government with a check for 4K. If anyone asks where you got the money, you say you won 4K gambling. Bring bag of cash in and buy chips. Play a few hands, perhaps lose 10-15, and then cash chips in for cash again. Done? There's a gangster, John Gilligan, if you are interested, who knew that when swapping over 100K of casino chips back to cash, casinos had to print off a receipt. He used to go into a casino, swap something like 110K into chips, stick around for a few hours barely gambling at all, get the same chips swapped back to cash, then use the receipt, make out that he'd won a load of money which he then used to justify his spending. I think with casinos the key is trading in dirty money for clean money. So you get chips for dirty cash and then clean cash for the chips. You don't have to give ID when cashing chips or tickets, at least in the US. Only if you win over 1,200 at the time of this post do you have to give information. Did you happen to watch Hell or High Water recently? OP is probably on some sort of list for asking this now. For a person, you would probably need a paid shill for this, but it's theoretically not hard. You make a habit of going to casinos. You bring in a decent amount of money or keep it on account. Your assistant also brings in a fair supply of your illicit money. At some point they pass you chips that you then cash out. You do have to make sure you go some nights with the intention of leaving with a modest loss, even if on average you win, or it will look suspicious. You also can't not be on an observable winning streak and have a great night. Cameras everywhere. But over time, you could leave some at the casino and get most back as gambling winnings with a reported tax form. For the casino, a classic reliable way to launder money is to own a corrupt cash-heavy business. Paid shills bring in your money in smallish batches, convert it to chips, and lose them at the gaming tables. They give up when left with say 10, which is theirs to keep, plus dinner, a couple drinks, and a night at the casino. You can also skip the charade if it's small compared to the legit take and just add the illicit money to income and cash deposits. Lol.just asking. No reason. Breaks down like thishts u2.bkx tax jx090c equals m7 aolstkhrd 79bq. You have the numbers backwards. You don't launder money claiming you lost money. If you wanted to launder money via a casino, you would report more winnings than you actually had. Bring 10K, leave with 20K. You report the 10K of winnings and pay tax on it. Like most tax-related things, once you get to big numbers, it is increasingly difficult to hide things from the IRS. The IRS doesn't have a whole lot of resources these days. If you go into a casino with a bunch of cash gained from illicit means, play with it for an hour, lose one, and then cash it out as winnings and pay taxes on it, the IRS is happy as a clam to just take your tax money and not ask any questions. Of course, the higher the amount, the more scrutiny it would draw. But it would have to be a lot, like in the hundreds of thousands, for it to make sense for them to go after you. All of their investigations cost them money, so they need to have a return on that investment. It's difficult as an individual. Casinos are obligated to report any purchase in or out of 10K or more. If you come in more than once, buy 10-20K in chips, play a couple hands, cash them out, and leave, you will immediately be flagged. They forward all info about these transactions to the government and I believe the FBI. You can get away with it for a bit, but not long terms. Another way is to have a group of people come in with microtransactions of a couple thousand here and there and do the same thing. What you are referring to is the practice of buying in with a large amount, gambling a bit, then cashing out. When you cash out above a certain amount, they record it for the IRS. That's the laundering, since now you can show where the money came from. And the casinos watch for this closely. Now if you're not laundering, you can show you bought in for 100,000 and cashed out for 95,000. If you're laundering, you show you bought in for 1,000. Now you have 94,000 of clean money. There are lots of caveats and tricks they use, but basically that's it. I can speak for Canada. Large denomination chips are tracked. Big players have their buy-ins, cash outs, bets all recorded, usually by the pit floor manager at the high-stakes tables. If you buy in for 100K and leave with 140K, you get a receipt for 40K of winnings that now has a paper trail. If you buy in for 100K and cash out for 80K, you do not. This is from what I've learned during anti-money laundering courses when I was a baccarat dealer ages ago, as well as playing fairly decent stakes poker games. It won't work with a legit casino depending on the crime. One might have been willing to admit to illegal gambling. I won at playing backroom poker to avoid a more serious charge. But you aren't laundering money through a modern Vegas casino now. In the era where the mob ran Vegas and Havana, they could very much use the casinos they controlled to launder their criminal profits. The casino takes your 120K that you want to launder. They say you won 100K in the casino, and you receive the money as lottery winnings, which you report to the IRS. You now have legal money. Different receipts. Someone brings the cash under a certain cap, so it is not flagged, buys the chips, maybe gives chips to person 2, to cashes out. Ooh, I see the problem you have. The money laundering is done by the owners of the casinos, not the people that go to them. So the guy that owns it goes, well, we had a good week. Someone dropped 100,000 worth of quarters into our slots, yay. But no one did. They got that money illegally.